Hey, what's up guys? In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the new Casting Cave custom Cyclops head sculpt, and I'm going to be deciding whether I think it was worth spending $40 to improve this $25 figure, or whether I think I maybe could have just lived with the head sculpt it came with. Alright, so before I get into the Casting Cave head sculpt, I do first want to talk about the head sculpt this figure came with. Now, a lot of people were not happy with this head sculpt, and I wasn't either, to be honest. I really didn't even want to get this figure when I saw this head sculpt because he just looks goofy in my opinion. Cyclops in X-Men 97 is super badass. It's one of the most badass versions of Cyclops we ever seen. And this is just not it. Like, I think he made this expression a couple times in the show where he was like smirking, but most of the time he is serious. He takes it serious, the whole X-Men thing, and he is like always, just looking more badass than this right here. And the other thing, even if you don't count the expression, the actual face, the features on the face are just too soft. He looks kind of baby faced, doughy, like, I'm gonna just bring in the Casting Cave head sculpt right quick. This is much more what I think of when I think of Cyclops. Chiseled jawline, hard features, stoic expression. This is just not it. Like, it just looks goofy. In my opinion, it ruins the figure. I've never bought a custom head sculpt before, but I couldn't stand looking at this. So what I actually had before I got the Casting Cave head sculpt, I had this on display. This is the alternate head that you're supposed to pose with the optic blast. Now, I don't personally like displaying him with the optic blast, so I just had him like this, with this head sculpt but no optic blast. And I thought this looked okay. Obviously, I didn't like the fact that he had a hole in his head because he has the space there to plug in the optic blast. So yeah, it was not perfect, but I still thought it was better than this, right? But I wanted a good head sculpt, one that I was really, really satisfied with, because Cyclops is one of my favorite characters. So I dropped $40 on this beautiful Casting Cave head sculpt. So yeah, let's take a closer look at this. So the sculpt is really, really nice. I don't know if it's, no, I don't think it is. I was gonna say it looks similar to the VHS Cyclops head sculpt, but the sculpt is definitely different. I think this is an original sculpt by Casting Cave. But it has that look to it. I really liked the first head sculpt that came with the VHS figure, but unfortunately that one had the shading. But yeah, it has really nice coloring in the flesh tone. It looks very realistic. The gold paint is beautiful, shiny, metallic. And then for the actual visor piece, or like the optic blast piece, the red paint is like this candy red paint. It looks really, really good. It reflects light differently than the gold and the flesh tone. There also is variation in color in the hair. I believe it has like a black wash. But yeah, overall it looks really good. And the blue is painted very cleanly. as well. There's the back of the head. So yeah, now getting the head sculpt on the figure, the head sculpt doesn't pop on like the Hasbro ones do. It kind of just slides on and then stays on with friction. And it also doesn't go down all the way. So as you can see, it just slides on and it stops about there. So if there's one complaint I have with this head sculpt, it's that it doesn't sit flush to the body. If you can see there, there's like a gap in the back of the head. So that's not ideal. Now, luckily, if you have them posed from, facing forward, you can't really see that. But like I said, it's not ideal. Me personally, I don't really care because, like I said, I don't really see it. But it is something to note, I guess. Maybe something that he can improve with a future release. Just making sure the back of the head gets flush with the neck. Because like if I do that, then he's got a huge gap. So yeah. It also doesn't stay on like that great. Once I start articulating it, it wants to kind of come off. But it doesn't fall off. It's held on there with a lot of friction, right? But since it doesn't snap into place, I start moving it and it comes off. So yeah. Now the other thing that I wanted to see when I first got this head sculpt was how it looked with other Hasbro Marvel Legends. So here we have Wolverine. And I honestly think aesthetically it fits in pretty well. Now if you get up close and look at it, the Casting Cave head sculpt obviously has more detail than the Hasbro ones. If you just look at the flesh tone, for example, of Wolverine, and then look at the flesh tone of Cyclops, you can really see a difference. But I'm not going to fault Casting Cave for being good, I mean, this is what all of the Marvel Legends should look like, so that's no fault to him. But if you're someone who really wants all your figures to look like they're from the same line, then maybe this isn't for you. But like I said, once you get them on the shelf and back up, you really can't see like those tiny details. Like I think that looks good, Now the other thing is the flesh tone, the color of the flesh tone. With Wolverine it works. I think that looks appropriate because he's got a bit of a darker flesh tone, like Cyclops here. But I mean, if you just compare it, for example, to this one, he's got a way lighter flesh tone here, a lot more yellow in the X-Men 97 head. So if you compare him with other X-Men 97 figures, like for example, Jean Grey, who I have on a stand here, give me a second. If you compare it with Jean Grey, it's not, aesthetically speaking, it's not like perfect match, because Jean Grey has that like more yellowy skin tone and Cyclops has like the darker skin tone. But honestly, it does not bother me too much. And in a second I'll show you how I have him displayed on my X-Men shelf with this head sculpt, and you'll be able to see that like the aesthetic matching is not a problem. I think he looks great with the X-Men. And the last thing I wanted to touch on was the color of the blue. The color of the blue is pretty close to the plastic, but I wouldn't say it's perfect. There definitely is like some small variation between the blue on the head and the blue on the body. And honestly, I think more than a color thing, it's a finish thing. I think the blue on the head is a lot more matte, whereas the neck is reflecting more light. So I think that's probably what's making it look a little bit different. But I mean, the head looks better. Like the fact that the blue is matte on the head looks, I mean, makes it look good compared to the neck that's just reflecting the light. So again, I don't want to fault Casting Cave for that, but if you want it to match 100%, then maybe you'll be disappointed. But like I said, it looks better than the body, and it's not so different where it feels out of place. It just kind of makes the figure feel more premium. So yeah, now let's take a look at him with all the X-Men. So here he is, Cyclops with the Casting Cave head sculpt with the X-Men. And yeah, I mean, I think that looks really good. I think once you back away, like from this distance, you can't see the little aesthetic differences in style. And I think he just looks a lot better. You know, Cyclops is here in the front. So before, when I had him with that head sculpt for the optic blast with the hole in it, it just looked off. You know, it didn't look terrible, but it wasn't, you know, I wasn't satisfied, I guess. But with this head sculpt, I think the display looks much, much better. So yeah, if you have the $40 to spend, and if the head sculpt is still available, because it might not be available actually, but if you have the $40 to spend, I would keep a lookout on the Casting Cave website because they do restocks. So yeah, I'll put the link for that in the description. And that's all. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know if you would get this head sculpt. See ya.